Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about Alhambra. Alhambra is a pretty famous and well-known Euro game, up there with even Carcassonne and Settlers of Catan. Sadly, I had actually never played this game before playing it on iOS, so this is all new to me. So let's take a look and see how this classic translates to the digital platform. Alhambra can handle up to 6 players, which is quite impressive. You can even do 2, which adds a third AI player, which seems a little silly to do on the digital version, but if you like to play that way, that's totally fine. But you can always just add in an AI player to bring it up to 3 rather than this sort of built-in AI in the game. Anyway, the way the game works is you have a handful of cards. These cards represent different currencies. You use these currencies to buy buildings of different colors using the different color currencies. If you buy a building using exact currency, you get to take a second action, which is really useful, and chaining those sorts of things are going to be keys to victory. You have other actions you can take, which include taking money and using reserve actions. Reserve actions are where you put a building in your reserve rather than playing on the board, and you can later pull it out to replace a building or to shift around the position of a building. You're not allowed to rotate the building tiles, and the attaching walls add to your victory points, so it's really necessary that you possibly sometimes put a building in reserve and then pull it out at a later time where it fits in your wall scheme. Alhambra is a game of victory points. There are several scoring rounds in the game which come drawn out of the deck, and during these scoring rounds you score points by having the most of the certain different types of buildings. So obviously you want to focus on a few so you can be the leader in certain areas and score the points that you're after. This, combined with the scoring from the walls, will add up to determine a victor of the game. Alhambra has some interesting features that you don't generally see. One of them is the ability to actually, change the language that you see quite often. There's sound controls as well as game speed and those sorts of things. But view is an interesting one where it actually changes the game view to the traditional tiles of the board game. So if you've seen maybe Will Wheaton's Tabletop, this reflects the way they played there with these traditional tiles. So if you want to view the game that way rather than the isometric view, you can totally do that. This is a very interesting option, and I think will be welcomed by many hardcore board game players. And I think overall, Alhambra is enjoyable, whether you've played the board game or not. But definitely, I think if you enjoy the game, you're going to look past a lot of its faults and really enjoy this app for what it is. The other features here, we have high scores, which have achievements in the game, as well as high scores against the AI players, and your rating against them. There is multiplayer here. It uses BSW, Brett Spielwelt, which is a little strange and doesn't work particularly well on iOS, and we'd love to see more native multiplayer options in the future with the Queen Games editions of their digital board games. Much like Kingdom Builder, Alhambra presents the game in a very playable fashion. Everything's mostly clear, and you can definitely play the game. However, it's not going to win any beauty contests. I feel like it looks very dated. There's a few polish areas that are definitely needed. That being said, this time around they have definitely taken a lot of thought into focusing on the UI of the game. The UI changes whether you're on an iPhone, whether you're vertical or horizontal, and all these little shifts, though they don't always work perfectly, are very useful and definitely shows that they put some thought into how they're presenting the information, which I really do not feel that in Kingdom Builder. As you can see, everything's oriented towards you. You're not having to play on some weird edge of the board. Definitely, it seems like there's been a lot of thought put into the design of the game, more than we saw in the previous Queen Games title, Kingdom Builder. So if you're looking to play Alhambra against AI, the AI does seem to be fairly strong. The pass and play features work well enough. There's really no hidden information in this game, so it definitely works in that way. My only concern here is the online play needs a lot of help. I understand BSW was a great tool, even one that I use quite a bit, but I feel like in terms of iOS and also Android, there's just so many other options out there that offer a lot higher fidelity and a lot more player choices that I think developers should be choosing and exploring. So overall, I really enjoyed Alhambra. It was great to actually play this classic game finally. I like the change of views. I like a lot of the little flourishes they've added. But then again, it definitely has a lot of work to live up to the other classics on the system, but it looks like a step in the right direction from Queen Games.